This episode is brought to you by Disney Plus. For the Bell family, basketball is everything. But can they navigate the game of life together? Based on Kwame Alexander's critically acclaimed best-selling novel and narrated by Daveed Diggs, The Crossover. Streaming Wednesday, April 5th, only on Disney Plus.
Scott for Scott's here. Do you hear that? Bring the mic in close. That's not how the grass should sound. There's weeds everywhere in this lawn. It's time to take action with Scott's Turf Builder Triple Action. It gets 3 jobs done at once. Kills weeds, prevents crabgrass, and feeds your lawn so it keeps growing strong. Ah, much better.
Get a bag of Scott's Triple Action today. It's guaranteed, or your money back.
Feed your lawn. Feed it.
Get on board the Vikings ship. It's Purple Mafia. This is episode number 15 of Purple Mafia. Today is Monday, October 6th in the year of our Lord 2008. Well, all of about 15 minutes left of this day. It'll be Tuesday for you pretty much by the time you get to hear this show, as it's going to be Tuesday as I'm doing this show later on. Wow. Well, the Vikings pull out a close one today. Absolutely spectacular game. Very, very fun to watch. A little sloppy at times, but first and foremost, this show is available on thesportstuff.com and on iTunes, and I thank each and every one of you for downloading and listening to this show. It means a lot to me, and I hope this show means a lot to you. And if it does, please tell a friend and tell them to tell their friends. Let's get this show moving further and further forward. As the ratings on iTunes have been decent, let's get them better. So that'll be great. Now, first and foremost, on thesportstuff.com, there is a button on the upper right-hand corner that says TSS Boards. If you simply click on that, you will be prompted to sign in or sign up to the message board. So if you haven't signed up, please do. It is 100% free and 100% fun, as you get to interact with all of us podcasters and other members that are all sports fans. And there's even some boards on there where you can talk about anything you want, be it politics, the economy, whatever the heck you want to talk about. Video games. Yeah, there's a lot of video game talk on here. So, yeah, definitely some good stuff to get into. Now, on today's show, we are going to talk about, of course, the game. That is the most important thing. We're going to have a teeny bit of Vikings news, little tidbits here and there. Also, I'm going to mention, as I think this will be better for you, the listener, as I'm getting the impression that you, the listener, would like more Vikings and less, NFL Roundup. So I'm going to abbreviate the NFL Roundup from now on. Unless I hear differently, if I hear any requests like, hey, I really like that NFL Roundup a lot, if I hear a lot of requests about that, well, let me know. Please let me know on the message boards, on maybe even on iTunes if you comment on there, or send me an email, paladinolive@yahoo.com, paladinolive@yahoo.com, or send me a private message on thesportstuff.com if you are a member. Now, so I just thought I'd get that out of the way, just to let you know what the idea is going in. Of course, we're going to get into last week's poll and into this week's poll. Should be some fun stuff. It was a great game. So we're going to get, without further ado, we're going to get into that right away after this announcement. Here on thesportstuff.com, we're bursting in blue with Timberwolves Explosion. Timberwolves fans, your show has arrived at last as we bring in a new era with Al Jefferson, Kevin Love, and Mike Miller. We're available on thesportstuff.com and also available on iTunes. Download and listen to in-depth and detailed coverage of your favorite team. Show your true blue and join this explosion of Timberwolves basketball. And we are back here on Purple Mafia. The commercial you just heard was Timberwolves Explosion. That is my Timberwolves podcast here on thesportstuff.com and on iTunes. Do check it out. Timberwolves training camp is underway. The preseason game underway tonight as well. Wolves win big time. So we'll be talking about that later this week, talking about the preseason stuff on that show. So yeah, check it out. Now, it is time to talk about the game. Yes, the game. And what a fun game it truly was, as mentioned. And you know what? Every single time the Vikings play the New Orleans Saints, it's always interesting. There's always some crazy stuff going on. Be it there's a lot of crazy calls going on. There's a lot of wild, just some spectacular plays. There's turnovers. There's everything. Both teams tend to really come out to play against each other. Yet, the good part about it is it's not like a big hatred rivalry. It's just entertaining football. It really, really is. And, who could forget in 2002 when the Vikings had lost, 14 straight road games or something, and we actually won the ball game on a 2-point conversion. So instead of going for the tie, we go for 2 and win the ball game. Dante Culpepper running it in. So, yeah, that was some cool stuff. Definitely a great game today. But, yeah, special teams rear their ugly head again. As the opening kickoff of the game, Pierre Thomas returned it 56 yards, which then led to a pretty easy score with Drew Brees hitting Devery Henderson in a very quick drive. Henderson continued to break loose on kicks all night long. I meant Pierre Thomas continued to break loose on kicks all night long, but somebody else broke loose on kicks all night long too. I'll get into that very shortly, as we're just not quite at that part of the game yet. The crazy part is a holding call killed the Saints' chances for another TD right off the bat. But the Vikings caught a break there, and that's for sure. But then this is where things started to change, and this is when that super entertaining thing starts to happen between these two teams. Now, first of all, bear with me. I apologize. My voice sounds kind of crappy, and that's because I've got a frog in my throat. You all know what that feeling is. It really sucks when you're just not feeling your best. But yeah, Antoine Winfield. Now, first and foremost, Kevin Williams blocked a field goal attempt, as that's what the Saints had to do. They had to go for field goal. Kevin Williams blocks it, and the hero of a few weeks ago, Antoine Winfield, recovers the ball as he just nabbed it out of midair and ran all the way for a touchdown. Beautiful stuff. Winfield later on knocked the ball out of Drew Brees' hands. So Winfield coming up big again. The man who recovered that was Tyrell Johnson. It was just awesome. Now, that play led to another TD where Chester Taylor threw the ball to Visante Shenko for a TD on a trick play. It was a 4-yard play. Shenko is finally catching touchdowns. It's a miracle. Yeah, Shenko's caught 2 touchdowns so far this year, so that makes up for the 2 touchdowns he dropped, touchdowns that were just gimmies, like right in the oven. The bread was in the oven, baby. And he dropped it, but not this time. Shenko is actually playing a little better now, and it's nice to see. Charles Gordon, the nickelback Charles Gordon, played some good ball. He knocked down multiple plays that could have been touchdown passes. He is playing some big football lately, and I'm really happy with Charles Gordon. Good choice by the Vikings, naming him that nickelback indeed. As haven't really seen much of Benny Sapp in regular season football, despite a very good preseason. So that's just how it goes, I guess. Vikings got away with one when when Ben Lieber clearly face masked Reggie Bush. Bush fumbled the ball, and we recovered it on top of that. So that was some crazy stuff. The Saints fans, their coach, they were irate. I felt bad for the referee, Ed Hockley, as he had an unfortunate call a week ago. Denver Broncos, San Diego Chargers on a forward pass that, it should have been. It was a fumble. It wasn't a forward pass. It was obvious, but Ed Hockley, one of the better refs in the league, taking some heat of late, unfortunately. But as we head into the second half, or really before we do, the Vikings managed to get another field goal. This was a 33-yarder by Ryan Longwell. He had a 53-yarder earlier in the game. I mean, Ryan Longwell, this guy might be the best kicker in the whole league right now. He has just had a awesome season. This was with 4 seconds to go to put the Vikings up 20-10. I mean, who saw the Minnesota Vikings up 20-10 over the New Orleans Saints in this game? I sure the heck didn't, and I don't think many people did. I really don't. I don't know how they could. Adrian Peterson. Now, a lot of you thought going into this game the Vikings were going to pound away at the New Orleans Saints with Adrian Peterson, right? Well, it just wasn't the case. It just simply was not the case, as he had only 16 yards in the first half. 17 yards in the first half. That was very frustrating. He almost lost a fumble. A challenge, thank God, showed that his knee was down before he lost the ball. But still, what a tough first half for Adrian Peterson. And yeah, second half wasn't much better, but we'll get into that later. The Vikings forced 3 turnovers in the first half. Fumble recoveries by Winfield, Tyrell Johnson, and an interception by Ben Lieber, deep in Vikings territory. That saved us big time. Drew Brees was furious as the ball was just tipped in the air. His receiver screwed up. I can't remember if it was Moore or Henderson. I think it was Moore. He just absolutely blew it on the play. Not Brees' fault at all. And, the Saints probably would have scored a touchdown, at least got a field goal there. I mean, they were so deep. It was unbelievable. Vikings' run defense was great in the first half, keeping Reggie Bush to 25 yards and Deuce McAllister to only 3. Crazy. Drew Brees had over 200 yards passing in the first half. The Vikings were very fortunate to be in such good position, leading 20-10 at the half. I mean, they really were. No one saw it. But now we get into the second half, and this is when things got even crazier. I mean, much crazier. Absolutely insane, actually. How could I not say that? Special teams continued to suck in the second half, folks, as Reggie Bush returns a 71-yard punt, returns a punt 71 yards for a touchdown. Unbelievable. That was it just shows this special teams just is not good. But also, I mean, Bush, I got to give him credit. That was just spectacular. He was the player of the entire game, as he very easily could have gone the distance again on the following punt return, which is only about a minute later, as the Vikings were a quick 3-and-out. If he hadn't stumbled, he would have had another touchdown. But if it wasn't bad enough, Bush returned another punt for a touchdown. This one was 64 yards. Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, come on. That was really tough to swallow. As Viking special teams, especially when we play the New Orleans Saints historically. I mean, how many times have I seen the New Orleans Saints return a kick for a touchdown against the Vikings over the last 16 to 20 years? I mean, it just drives me nuts. It really does. The Vikings speaking of driving anybody nuts, the Vikings offense did absolutely nothing in the third. I mean, it was 3-and-out on virtually every single series. It was terrible. But then all of a sudden, after those 2 touchdowns by Reggie Bush, which were, late in the third quarter and early in the fourth, something changed. Something woke up Gus Frerotte and Bernard Berrien. I mean, whoa. Can I say this word? I don't know. Can I say this? Clutch? Clutch? What does that word mean again? What does clutch mean? Oh, that's right. It means you made big plays when the game's on the line? What? I forgot what that word meant here in Minnesota. I really did. Yeah, they were clutch. Gus Frerotte and Bernard Berrien were clutch. As almost immediately after that, well, it was the series immediately after Reggie Bush got his second touchdown, Gus Frerotte chucks the rock up to Bernard Berrien, which ended up being a 36-yard catch. It was slightly underthrown. Bernard Berrien had to kind of come back to catch it, but he did, despite the fact he dropped several passes in the game, earlier in the game. But my goodness, the guy just totally woke up. It was amazing. Gus Surratt hammered, and I mean hammered on the play, as I believe, it was Will Smith just hammered him. He was on the ground for about a minute or two, gets up, he's okay, thank goodness. Tavares Jackson had to go in for at least one play because it was like an injury timeout, so that's the rules, and we all know what happened. As, you guessed it, Tavares Jackson had to just handed the ball off to Adrian Peterson. That's just the way it goes when Tavares Jackson's in the game. One play, Gus Surratt comes back in. What does he do on the next play? He throws it up high again. Bernard Berrien comes down with a 33-yard catch. Despite the fact that he ran into Bobby Wade on the play, he caught the ball anyway. Bernard Berrien actually is catching the ball, but the game's on the line all of a sudden. So, hey, I can't complain. But don't blame me if I'm a little bit shocked. I mean, it's just absolutely wonderful to see this happening. I'm so happy. I really am. So the Vikings, all of a sudden, are tied. We're tied, folks. 27-27. Unbelievable. Don't know how it happened, but it did. Martin Eradicka gets an opportunity as the Saints drive, but are stopped far enough, to not make it a chip shot field goal. It was 46 yards, and Mr. Eradicka misses. That was beautiful. I was so happy. All of a sudden, the Vikings have a chance to win the game with exactly, with 2 minutes left, about a minute 57 or so left in the game. Bernard Berrien came up big again, drawing a pass interference call, which gave the Vikings the ball at the Saints' 15. The Vikings run the clock down to 16 seconds. Ryan Longwell only has to make a 30-yarder, and guess what? He did, as Ryan Longwell is very clutch. He is the best kicker in the NFL right now, in my opinion. Final play of the game was a Hail Mary by Drew Brees, which was intercepted by Tyrell Johnson. They figured they could give it a shot just in case the ball was down. If it was down, the Saints would have one more Hail Mary attempt, but nope, it was a catch. Tyrell Johnson clearly had the ball cradled. It was safe. It was a true catch. Ball game. Vikings defeat the New Orleans Saints on the road. Our first road win of the year. Hopefully not our only one. And, hey, we can actually talk about a winning streak. Can we actually talk about a possible winning streak? Because the Detroit Lions are coming to town. The Lions are coming to town. Unbelievable. The worst team in the NFL is going to be in the Metrodome. I have never seen the Vikings lose to the Detroit Lions in the Metrodome. And I've been watching NFL since 1992. I'm old enough I could have been watching since 85, but, well, that's when I started watching. So, sorry. Still much longer than most of you that are listening, but some of you maybe are quite a bit older than me and I remember the Tarkenton era. Who knows? But, yeah. Now we're going to quickly get into the game preview. Or even before that, really quick, because I did not mention this earlier. Unfortunately, E.J. Henderson is out for the year. Yeah, out for the year. I thought he was going to be out maybe for a couple plays. I really did in that Tennessee game last week. Oh, maybe just a couple plays and he'd be right back in the game, right? No. Then they're like, oh, maybe he'll be out this week. Okay, yeah, just this week. Then they're like, this could extend into a month. All of a sudden, boom, placed on injured reserve today. 2 dislocated toes. He is out for the season. E.J. Henderson, the best linebacker on the Vikings by far. You could say he's the defensive MVP, but it's definitely Antoine Winfield now, that's for sure. This guy was on his way to the Pro Bowl this year. Not anymore. E.J. Henderson gone. Very big shame. Oh, man. I can't even put into words what a big loss this is, and that is quite a shame. If the Vikings win anyway and hold Reggie Bush and Deuce McAllister, at least in the running game, down pretty good. It was the damn special teams that gave up all those yards to E.J. Henderson, to Reggie Bush and Pierre Thomas. So that was some tough stuff to swallow. But now we can move into the Detroit Lions. I apologize for switching up a little bit there real quick but I had to. I can't go through the show without mentioning that. Yeah, Detroit Lions. Yeah, how do you beat the Lions? You just play football. You just play football. Don't be stupid. That's how you beat the Lions. Just catch the ball. Just throw it and catch it. Like pretend you care. Yeah, that's how you beat the Detroit Lions. The Chicago Bears whooped on the Detroit Lions this last week. Now, I know the Bears are in first place, but come on, man. They're not that good. And they beat the Lions 34-7, just putrid. Remember last year when John Kitna was talking about throwing 50 touchdown passes because he's had the best receivers ever, and they got the greatest offensive coordinator ever? No, I can't say it. Yeah, and Mike Martz, the former Rams coach, and all that good stuff. Now the 49ers offensive coordinator. No, it just didn't work out at all. Kyle Orton looked like Joe Montana in this game. 334 yards and 2 touchdowns. No interceptions either, by the way. Now, Kyle Orton is getting better. He is getting better, but the Detroit Lions are that bad. They really are. I don't know what happened to John Kitna. I really don't. This has gotten ridiculous. I don't even know this guy. Orlovsky? I don't even know him. I'm sorry, but I don't. The only thing Detroit really did good is Matt Forte only averaged 2.4 yards a game, or a carry, but he did get a touchdown still, so what do? Other than that, I mean, Roy Williams, 96 yards. Oh, goody. Wow, oh man. This is easily the worst team in the league. The Vikings absolutely should win next week. And, believe it or not, we could be 500. We're right back where we started, whatever that is, But you get the idea. We could be right back at 500 and have a shot of doing something good. I hope it happens. The last time the Vikings and Lions played, the Vikings won 42-10 in the Dome. I expect a very similar score this coming week. I mean, there isn't much to preview here. Detroit is not going to win this game. They're just not going to win this game. Mark my words. If they lose, the Vikings lose next week, Brad Childress should be fired immediately. Get him out. I don't care what happened with the Saints. He should be fired if the Vikings lose to the Detroit Lions in the Metrodome. That's all there is to it. Now with that, I'm going to conclude this segment, and we're going to do the more abbreviated NFL roundup and get in the polls, and we'll be calling it a show at that point in time. We'll be right back after this. Here on thesportstuff.com, we're toughing up on Brave the Wild with Paladino. Join me, Paladino, as we brave the Minnesota Wild Hockey Club on our way to the playoffs. We're available on thesportstuff.com and iTunes. The boogeyman Derek Bugard says you'd better listen or he just might drop the gloves. Call up your courage and brave the wild with your buddy, Paladino Joey. And we are back here on Purple Mafia, the previous show you just heard. Previous commercial, that is. Brave the Wild. That is my Minnesota Wild podcast. Do check it out on thesportstuff.com and on iTunes. Training camp is over. Preseason is over. It is regular season. The season opener is on Saturday. We'll be talking some hockey. So do check that show out as soon as you can. Now for a abbreviated version of the NFL Roundup. Tennessee defeats Baltimore. They are still undefeated. They are 4-0. Kansas City is shut out by Carolina 34-0. So that little win by Kansas City last week does not mean much anymore. And Carolina has still only lost one game this year. And that was to the Minnesota Vikings. So that win looks pretty good right now. Already mentioned the Chicago-Detroit game. Yeah, that was just yuck. Atlanta over Green Bay. Atlanta over Green Bay. Unbelievable. How about that? The Falcons are 3-2. The Packers are 2-3. Things really opening up for the Minnesota Vikings in this division. And the Atlanta Falcons, Matt Ryan looks the part. That is a nice football team looking real good. They just might be an outside playoff contender. Indianapolis and Houston, boy, the Colts. Boy, the Colts suck. They almost gave up this game. They really were that close. They almost lost to a team that hadn't won a game this year. But they pulled it out. Oh, goody. They're 2-2. Wow. They've beaten the Texans and the Vikings so far this year. Go Colts. Texans are 0-4. Sage Rosenfeld, solid game, though. Not bad at all for him filling in for a ill Matt Schaub. Very quickly now, on to San Diego, Miami. The San Diego Chargers suck. They lost to the Miami Dolphins. This team was an easy Super Bowl pick for a lot of people. They are now 2-3. Now, I know last year they came out to a sucky start, too, so who knows? Anything can happen. The Miami Dolphins have improved this year. They are 500. All righty. And they're just 1 year removed from a 1-win season. Ronnie Brown is emerging dramatically. 125 yards and a touchdown. Player of the game there. Dolphins are awakening again. Seattle and the New York Giants. Wow. 44-6. Giants are still undefeated. The Giants. Remember the team? A lot of us thought they were just going to be kind of, have a sophomore slump after a Super Bowl championship season. Not the case. Seattle is finished. They are done. It is over. Mike Holmgren, go away, retire. Good riddance to him. And, Seattle's done. They're going to have to totally rebuild. Washington and Philadelphia. This might have been the game of the week. What a couple of sweet football teams. Washington is now 4-1 after their season opening loss to the New York Giants. 4-1. Washington. Wow. Congratulations to Logan Rice, host of 4th and Goal. Your team looks great. I cannot believe the Eagles are only 2-3. They are an awesome football team, and they are only 2-3. What a tough division to be in. Yikes. Now we're going to quickly slide into the next game. Tampa Bay and Denver. This is another solid game, kind of a defensive type of game. Denver is 4-1. Tampa Bay 3-2. Despite losing, Tampa Bay is still 3-2. They look very good. Denver looks great, 4-1. As mentioned, more of a defensive battle, but Cutler getting it done when it matters. And that's how you win football games. Arizona explodes against a solid Buffalo team who lost Trent Edwards, unfortunately, and J.P. Lossman filled in all right, but that's how it goes. Kurt Warner, awesome game, 250 yards, 2 touchdowns, very well done. 41-17. Arizona explodes, despite the fact Anquan Boldin out for the week with a fracture in his skull. Pretty morbid thought there. Cincinnati competitive against the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys actually had to outscore them in the fourth quarter to win the game, but they did, 31-22. Carson Palmer looks like he's back to being a competitive player. Tony Romo, big again, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. As I mentioned, Carson Palmer, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. So, not bad. Nice to see Palmer getting kind of back in the swing of things. What a shame it would be to see him totally collapse. New England defeats San Francisco. New England is 3-1, though, which is impressive considering the circumstances. San Francisco's 2-3, a little bit better than I expected. I mean, I saw them being like a 2-14 team this year. It still could happen, but it probably won't. J.T. O'Sullivan, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Kind of an interesting day. Kevin Falk with 2 touchdowns. Where did that come from? He had only 30-some yards in the game, 32 yards. Matt Castle, not bad, but not great, but it did get Moss to finally open up, finally hitting Moss for 111 yards and a touchdown. So that's good to see Moss and Castle getting things going over there. Final game, Jacksonville, Pittsburgh. That was a Sunday night game. Pittsburgh Steelers 4-1, might be the cream of the crop in the AFC. We shall see. Jacksonville only 2-3 with a tough start, despite they've been in every single game they've played. Jacksonville done again, unfortunately. And that wraps up your NFL Roundup. And now we are going to get into last week's poll very quickly, and then we'll move into the next week poll. As I should say, unfortunately, it was actually 2 weeks ago. It was the week 3 poll, as I did not have a show last week because my schedule was so hectic. Just absolutely so hectic. I would have had to do the show on Thursday, and that's just not worth it anymore. As, you're reviewing a game that happened 4 days ago. That kind of sucks. But, So the question at that time was what surprised you the most about week 3. Farad starting, Schenko holding on to a touchdown, running game not being the main focus, or shutting out the Panthers in the second half. Well, that won this thing. Everybody voted for that one. So, all right. A lot of people surprised that Schenko, not that Schenko, but that the Vikings were able to shut out the Panthers in the second half. I was as well. That's, of course, where I voted. Now, this week, the question is, what was more amazing? This one, I hope, will get more votes than last one. Reggie Bush, 2 touchdown returns. Adrian Peterson only held at 32 yards. Vikings blocking a field goal and scoring a touchdown, because that's extremely rare when anybody blocks a field goal. That's pretty rare, especially scoring a touchdown on it. Or Farad and Berrien coming up clutch in the end. Now, what was more amazing? I'm stuck between 1 or 4 right there. Reggie Bush is the kind of guy, he's so talented, you can see it happening, and the Viking special team is so pitiful, you can see it happening. I'm going to go with Farad and Berrien coming up clutch in the end. Plus the fact that this is a Vikings show, so, Farad and Berrien coming up clutch in the end is going to be my vote, as I didn't see that coming. I don't think anybody else really did. Congratulations to them. That was really cool. Hopefully that's a harbinger of what is to come. Congratulations to the Vikings. A very exciting game. And the fact that we were able to do that after Reggie Bush returned 2 touchdowns, the fact that they were able to keep their poise, that they could still win this game despite the fact, you're down 7, the crowd is completely going crazy, the Saints have all the momentum, they're ready to kick our butts, didn't happen. So congratulations to the Vikings for showing some toughness on this game, and it was a beauty. I want to thank each and every one of you for listening. Once again, please sign up for the message boards on thesportstuff.com. The way you can get on and vote for this poll, sign up and then go to the message boards. The section that says podcasts, click on Purple Mafia. The poll will be there. Vote, and be sure to leave a comment as well. That way it can be read on air. As there were no comments last show, it was just a pretty quiet poll, and I don't understand why, but I need some more listener involvement, so I want you to get on there. Don't just watch sports, get involved. So hope to hear from you soon. Please do. And I'm going to wish you a great week and expect a victory over the Detroit Lions. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.